Hello and welcome to my first look at the latest snapshot for Minecraft. We're looking at the Snapshot 14w02c today, and there are so many new features to run through. So if there's anything you're looking for in particular, feel free to click the annotation, it'll take you straight there. Otherwise, stick around and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing that we will have a quick look at is just something small. If we hit the F3 button, you will see down in the second section where you've got the F, you've got east, north, west, south as always, but now it says towards, positive Z, negative X. Really tiny feature, but something I'm quite happy about because I'm constantly running back and forwards like this, trying to see which way I need to go to things, and then this way I won't have to do that. We can just see the direction and head straight in it. Secondly, we've got a new feature in here where we've got a difficulty. These are now saved per each world save you have will save the difficulty rather than the game in a whole, I think. But we also have a lock button, so we can lock this world difficulty, and you can see here it will never be able to change it again. We won't be doing that for this because I don't really want to do that with this world, but that's going to be great for map makers because it's going to mean that no one's going to be able to cheat basically. So it's going to be quite helpful for people like that. So the first new feature we're going to have a quick look at then is to do with doors. Sure, you've all seen and used them before. Now, when you craft these, whether it be wooden or iron, you'll receive 3 doors instead of the 1, which is great. It's more worth the resources than it was before, especially with iron. However, now you can stack these up to 64 now, and that the same goes for iron doors. This is pretty great. I'm pretty glad that this has been implemented. I have a feeling someone at Mojang tried to create an iron foundry or something similar and realised how much hassle it was to try and carry doors like this. All in all, great feature. I'm really happy with that. So let's take a look at the next thing. One thing that there is in this snapshot at the moment is a way to duplicate doors. This is definitely a bug, and I'm sure this will be taken out, but as you'll see here, as I place the door, 2 will drop rather than a redstone torch. A little bug, I'm sure that will be worked on. The next new feature, and possibly one of the more exciting, are the 3 new stone types. Now we have granite, diorite, and andesite, and these can actually be crafted from cobblestone and nether quartz will give you 2 diorite. Using that diorite with cobblestone will give you andesite, and then mixing diorite with more quartz will give you granite, however you would like to pronounce that. These 3 new stones, however, can be found scattered around the world. I punched back some dirt here, and as you can see, there already are some. I'm not sure as to how these spawn. They seem to act kind of like gravel in the way that they spawn throughout the world, but I don't think they're biome specific either. So you should be able to find these everywhere you look. Now, each of these, you can take 4 of each block, and you can craft them in a 2x2 box, and it will give you a polished version of each block. Now, personally, this is my favourite bit, the polished versions. I'm not a huge fan of all of these, more so because of the texture, but the polished versions, especially this guy, I think is really nice and is going to create for some pretty good building material. Another quick thing before I destroy the world, you'll see if we go into here, they all have the same block ID as stone with different metadata or damage value. So if you're looking to spawn them in, I think that will be how it's done. Next up, an update to a block you've probably all seen before. One I'm not too sure how happy I'm about, but mossy stone bricks and chisel stone bricks both now have crafting recipes. You take stone bricks and vines and you mix these in. It's shapeless, I believe, in any crafting area, and you'll get moss stone. Take some stone brick slabs and place them like this, and you will receive chisel stone bricks. A nice feature, I will admit. It's pretty good for anybody planning on building. These are quite hard to come by, especially the chisel stone bricks. However, that's kind of my problem with this update. I liked the fact that you had to go out and search for these, and it wasn't easy to find. And they came with some bragging rights, really. If you had the 3 pieces of stone from the jungle temple, then it looks pretty awesome because people knew where you got that from. And if you play on a server, it was quite lucky that you had them, whereas now they're craftable. This is the same way I felt about mossy cobblestone being implemented into one of the new biomes. But yeah, all in all, a nice feature though, and pretty simple recipes. The slime blocks. Now, I'm sure you've all heard about these by now. Everyone has been going crazy about these, and I think it's safe to say that this will be the new addition to parkour, because parkour is not frustrating enough. We need something worse. These are simply crafted by placing a 3x3 box of slime balls, which will turn into a slime block, and similarly you can put the slime block back in any crafting area and receive your 9 slime balls. So it's not a bad way to store them. Now, you can place carpet on top of this, which is how I made my little bed here, so we can bounce on the bed a bit. From what I understand, it's a 10 block to 7 block ratio, so if I fall from 10 blocks high, I'll bounce up 7. Alternatively, if you hold space on your way down, then you just bounce the 1 block at the bottom. Pretty cool block though. I am happy with it. I'm not sure how much I'll use it. I quite like the texture. I like the transparency on the edge, but I feel like when these are placed together, the block in the middle probably should join up, kind of like slimes do. But as I said, this is a snapshot, so this will all change, I'm sure. But pretty cool. One thing that I have noticed is that these are pretty much instant mined. Again, something that probably will be changed. I don't think there's any tool to break slime, so yeah, that'll be something I'm sure the developers will work on. But for now, all in all, pretty good block. I know I'm going to hate this by the time this gets put into some parkour maps. I can see it now. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the biggest update and the one I'm not sure about the most. The enchanting system, the levels, repairing, everything has been updated quite a bit, and I'll show you how that works now. So if we come into here, you'll see now we have an extra slot, and this is for lapis. I'm quite happy that lapis has a proper use now, rather than just dyes or a decorative block. So this works the same way as before. You'll get your 30 levels. You'll place your item that you want to be enchanted in the first slot. However, now you'll notice that we have these 1, 2, and 3, and these are different tiers of enchanting, and it will take a piece of lapis to unlock each tier. For example, 1 piece of lapis will give you the first tier, the second tier, and the third tier. The next update is that as you hover over, you will be able to see one of the possible enchantments that you'll get. Usually with a level 30, you'll get more than just the Unbreaking 3 in this case, but it lets you know. Now, if I wasn't happy with this, I thought Unbreaking 3, that's no good, I could do better. Take my helmet out, take my lapis out, leave, come back in. It will still be the same. Now, I believe this is saved per player, and the only real way to change this would be for me to enchant something else quickly, and then as I go back, it should be something different. And there you go, protection 4. Something I've just noticed that I haven't actually looked into, so I could be wrong about this, but when I enchanted these, I got protection 3. So it might stay for the whole lot, for any piece of armor. That's definitely something that I'll have to look into. Now, something you might not have noticed, because I cheated in levels to help explain this to you, is that if I am to use a tier 3 level 30 enchantment, it will only take off 3 levels. This is the bit I'm not too sure about, personally. I'm not too sure if I'm overly happy, with it only taking that many levels to enchant, especially with some of the enchantments you can get. It does seem a bit much. Now, the second change is to do with anvils and repairing. Now, if I want to name any item, it will only cost 1 level. Whereas before, I think it was closer to 5, depending on the enchantments and things like that. And if I would like to repair anything, it will now cost between around 2 to 5 levels, depending on the item. So it's a hell of a lot cheaper. Again, I can name it whatever I like, and it's going to cost me 5 levels. Now, this still works for enchanting if there's an enchanted item such as these. These don't really cost that much more at all. In fact, this doesn't cost anything more at all. So once that's damaged and I want to repair it, it's not going to cost a lot, which is nice. So now we can have our crazy overpowered swords with every single enchantment on at the highest level, and we can repair them. But at the same time, I think that's a bit overpowered. So I think this is going to add some bit of a different aspect to the game, and it's going to be some sort of getting used to. But it's a good idea, especially the use of lapis. Let's see if I can clear this again. Nope. Especially the use of lapis. I think that's pretty well implemented. So let's get on to the next thing. Now, the next updated feature, which we've all seen before, are villages. And these now all have classes or types or professions. And each of these professions now sell different things. This guy here seems to be... I think he's going to become the biggest problem, the cleric. There are a few different ones. You've got shepherds, leatherworkers, butchers, clerics, priests, kind of like before, but they all have names, and they will all sell and buy different items. Now, I think it should be pointed out that if you have villagers in your world and you update to 1.8 or use the snapshot, the villagers you have won't change. They will stay the same. Any new villagers spawned, they will change. But the ones you have now should be okay. This weather's horrible, isn't it? Let me have a look. Let's try and get rid of that. So, with these new professions, also comes with new trades. Now, to start with, there are 2 trades unlocked. I want to point out I'm not very confident in my villager knowledge, so if I get anything wrong, please feel free to correct me down below in the comments. But as I was saying, you get two trades for each as they start off. Now, as you go through these trades, you'll find that each Fletcher will go through the same. So the first trade will be string, the second trade will be arrows, and this should count for every Fletcher you have should be the same. I think the amount might change each time. So for example, our next Fletcher might do 14 string for an emerald. Our next cleric might do 40 rotten flesh for an emerald. I think that does change. And in terms of refreshing the trades, if I get myself some paper now, we can do this quickly. I believe that the refreshing the trades has changed as well. So if we keep going until he's had enough of us and he simply doesn't want to trade anymore. Oh, and another feature, you also get you can see him. Oh no, he's still not done. You also get XP from trading with villagers as well, which is quite cool. There you go. He's now done. If we step back and wait for him to do his thing, he should refresh on his own. I'm not sure how long this takes, but before you would have to go back and do a different trade to unlock it. Yeah, I think if we just give him some space, he should refresh himself. Now, I might feel a bit silly because I was trying this out in the snapshot 14w02b, and we're now in 14w02c, as you can see. So this might have changed. Oh, there you go. It actually tells you trade something else to unlock. So I'm going to have to just look a bit silly on that one. So there you go. It actually tells you now you need to trade something else to unlock. I was watching Zumavoid's video and he stated that you just needed to wait. So that looks like that's been changed since the last snapshot. So let's move on. In fact, before we do, the one thing I did actually want to mention was this guy, the cleric. And now what I was saying was I think one of the next couple of trades is usually about 4 or 5 ender pearls for an emerald. Now on the server I play on, we have an ender farm, and I have stacks and stacks and stacks of ender pearls. And so now I'm going to be the richest guy on the server with emeralds from the ender farm because I'm going to be able to trade my 4 ender pearls for an emerald. And I think this is something that might need to be looked at. Again, the same with the enchanting. It's great because we can be rich and we can have all the best enchantments and all of the emeralds. But at the same time, it is taking a bit of the fun out of the game, in my opinion, because it's making things a little bit too easy. So the next thing I want to touch on is command blocks. But before I do, I want to point out that I don't know that much about them. I'm not that good at them. So I'm going to explain what I do know and try and not say things wrong, basically. If you're interested in finding out command blocks, I suggest you go and try someone out like Sethbling. They know what they're doing. So if we go into adventure mode, before, if we had have hit glass, we would have been able to break it. Now we can't break a single block, no matter what it is, or how much we click or hold or anything like that. It will stay this way. One of the new features that's been added for command blocks is the can destroy tag. Now you can add this to any item that you give to a player, or any item in general, and this you can actually determine what blocks this item can break. So for example, in this case we will receive a diamond spade, and if we have a look, it says at the bottom can break sand and grass block. Now if we go ahead and break a glass block, you'll see it is not wrong. We can indeed break. There's still no way to place blocks, and I don't see this changing anytime soon, but that is one of the new features, and this is something I've come up with as a way to implement this new feature into one of your adventure maps. Now I have here a snowball that is going to give me permission to destroy sponge. So if I'm giving this to my player, he can come along, find a sponge, destroy the sponge, pick up the sponge, come over to this little contraption, throw the sponge in, and receive himself a prize. Obviously, you would work this out so that it actually fits your map, but this is the kind of features I think that's going to be involved with this. So I will try and touch on one of the other updates to command blocks and commands themselves, but like I said, I'm not the best at this stuff, so don't take what I'm saying as pure fact. But you have these 3 targets, at P, at R, and at A. There is another new target, which is at, and you can see I've used it there, at E, and this will target entities. So now what we can do is if we give this a radius of 100, and we can do that, and it will give us all of the entities in 100 blocks. Now you see if you hover over these, you will have, each of these now have a unique ID, so you can target specific mobs, items, any entity in the game you can actually target now, which is a really cool feature for map makers and anybody who loves playing with this stuff. For me, I'm not too clued up on it, I don't understand it too well, but it's definitely a cool feature that I know will definitely be put to good use. There is also a new addition to the kill command, and I believe you can do kill at entities. So if we do, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to make a fool of myself, but I believe, for example, I could target the entity's chickens, and I could give it a 100 block radius, and then all the chickens around me in a 100 block radius, if there were any, would be killed. So a little something that I saw on Reddit, and I cannot remember the user who posted this, so I am sorry. There is one new thing to do with mobs, and this comes as a little bonus tip as well. I don't know if this is new in the snapshots, and I don't know how old this is, so I don't know how silly I'm going to look. But if you are to spawn in any animal, this doesn't seem to work with hostile mobs, and if you use your spawn egg on that animal, it seems to create children. Now, I don't know if this is new, or whether this has been around for ages and I'm just making a fool out of myself right now, but it's something I noticed, which is pretty cool. Guys, I kind of need you to show off. Thank you. So, one thing is, and I don't know how this feature is supposed to be implemented just yet, but if I find a baby pig, and I can spam clip him with my carrots. Now, this will take a while, but it takes nowhere near as long as normal, and eventually, what we will see is, and we will see, I have tried just hitting them once and leaving them. Oh, here you go. They grow up a hell of a lot quicker. So this kind of acts like bone meal. And yeah, I do notice if you click them more than once, they let off the particle effect again. You two go have fun. They let off the particle effect again, so that's why I assume clicking more than once will help them to grow up. But I could be wrong, it could just be a one, you click them once and wait a little bit and they grow up. But as you see, I've left these alone and they don't seem to be growing just yet. But this is something that seems to have been implemented, and I'm not sure how it's planned on working yet, as nothing's been said about it. But it's a pretty cool feature, and I do hope it does get implemented. I think this should be, there you go, this should be probably the same way as, it should be the same way for horses, in my opinion. Giving them sugar at the moment, they grow up in a couple of seconds, and it's a bit, yeah, no, it's a bit, I don't know what I'm trying to say. But I like the idea of using this like bone meal. So that's everything that I have for you today. As I said, this is a snapshot, so things are very subject to change. This might not be the way things are in the final release or the next snapshot. I will be covering more snapshots as they're released. I will probably wait for any bigger updates. So, for example, if little bug fixes are changed, like the duplicating doors and stuff, I might not cover it because I don't feel that's necessary. But any update with new items or new blocks or anything like that, I will certainly be updating. So if you're interested in that and you enjoy the format that I go about doing this, please feel free to subscribe. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It definitely helps me out. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. See you next time.